Back again, people. A whole heap of thing going on Jamaica football today, right? A whole heap of thing. Number one, coaching. So now we are here, Steve McLaren name out there in the road, you know? Out in the street, Steve McLaren's name is there. Miguel Coy's name is there as well, just the same. So it seems like Miguel Coy is in a strong position to be Jamaica's head coach. Steve McLaren's name was thrown out also in the mix. And then there's somewhat of a French maverick. Some may say that is also being thrown in the mix. But also, in other news, there is Veer United FC. Some will know them as the former Jamalco FC, but they play in the National Premier League in Jamaica, right? The Jamaica Premier League. So apparently, Mr. Craig Butler has inked a deal with Veer United in terms of to be in charge of their football operations and their technical operations. So what it entails now is that it's been reported that he's co-owner of Veer United, and it's a 10-year agreement. They will no longer be called Veer United FC, but will now be known as Veer Phoenix United FC. So, yeah, man, I tell you people, story come to bump. Because I remember the under-20 team, when the names were published, one Craig Butler's his players at Phoenix Academy, their names were said to be unattached. So what we have gotten from this is that Phoenix wasn't a affiliate of the JFF, and I think by such they never necessarily recognized them as any a part of the formal football pyramid in Jamaica. However, with this acquisition or this partnership that Mr. Butler and his management team have gone into with Veer United, what does this mean? For me, it means that number one, Mr. Butler now has a vote because he's now a stakeholder in a entity that is also I would suggest that it is a part of the formal football pyramid, right? In terms of the PFJL and the JPL. So he would necessarily be in a situation where the JFF can no longer probably, in our terms, ignore some of his demands or ignore some of his utterances, right? So it also means for his players, none of them might end up on the same similar situation where they were branded as unattached. And I think that was quite disrespectful, in my opinion, to label players unattached, even if you're saying that they should have been affiliates of JFF or something of the sort. But my thing, though, I just think that in and of itself is not something that can just discourage people. You understand? You're playing for a team, and there's already rumors or there are already suggestions or aids that Phoenix Academy players are being blocked. And then when you send out a list like this now and you say unattached, what do you think the management of Phoenix, it just reinforces their point that their players are being fought. But I feel like this is a good look for Jamaica's football in terms of the local space. This is a good look for Mr. Butler to get some of his players into the Jamaica Premier League and have them playing in our local competition, as well as having them still doing their exploits, you know, abroad in Europe and such. So I just think it's overall a good look, and a lot of other teams will start to step up their game. Mount Pleasant has already stepped up their game from the time they have come in the league. You would have seen where they would have had practice match with Charlton FC and stuff. So I just think overall it's a good look, and it just bodes well for Jamaica's football going forward. But, you know, case in point, he would have developed a Whisper, he would have developed Ali and Bailey. So we're just looking forward to more of those players coming through the system, coming through the ranks. So back on the Reggae Boyz coaching scenario, right? With the Steve McLaren situation, I just believe that at this point in time, Steve McLaren might be on some lofty wages in Manchester United. rumored to be around approximately 144 million Jamaican, or something like 672,000 pound. But I mean, are more than that, but approximately 144 million Jamaican, right? And the former coach would have gotten 75 million. So it's kind of difficult, if you ask me, to probably go out and try to get a coach like that. But as you can see, he's a coach, like based on some of the criteria that Mr. Speed would have mentioned, that they would have wanted a manager who is like a man manager. They would have wanted somebody that can do have the tactical approach. They would have wanted somebody that is in touch with the modern game. I think they would have also wanted somebody who is like technologically savvy, but they also want somebody that is can coach, as in go out there and set up the field, who is technical in that aspect. And as you can see, he's now the first team coach at Manchester United, and he will be in charge of like training sessions and such, overseen by the manager, of course, but the first team coach is the one who actually take charge of training sessions and sets out drills and those things. So as you can see, Steve McLaren would have had those experiences, and he would have coached at various levels. In terms of coaching at Middlesbrough, he would have been, as I said, assistant to Sir Alex Ferguson before. He would have had somewhat of a stint with the England national team. So I think it is a credible candidate, but is he a affordable candidate? And that, I think, is going to be the greatest determinant in choosing this coach. Miguel Coy now, right? On to the situation with Miguel Coy. I think Miguel Coy has done something that a lot of coaches in Jamaica, or a lot of Jamaican coaches, are aspiring to do, in terms of acquiring his professional, as his pro license. And he would have garnered some form of experience in terms of coaching in Asia. I think he's currently with Salal SC, which he won a reserve title with, I think 2 years ago in 2022, and they finished, I think, 11th or something in their league that they were playing. So he's currently the first team head coach at that team, and I think with even his pro license, he should be able to get more opportunities coming forward. But right now, in terms of the job, I think when you look at the qualification, when you look at his background and his familiarity with Jamaica, his familiarity with the environment, being familiar with some of the players, I think in that sense is a coach that you could consider. And I think those things would make him a very, very strong candidate in the coming weeks to be announced, or coming days, we should say, because I think there was a release in the Gleaner where Mr. Speed was speaking on that there should be a board meeting the 31st of this month, and that is when they should release the name of the manager. I think they would be tying up loopholes and tying up our loose ends at that point in time. However, he stated that there's a possibility that the manager could be released before that, which could be a Monday. To me, hiring a Miguel Coy would mean that you probably only hire a head coach and not necessary, and then you could install a backroom staff, rather than, I think, if you probably hire a Steve McLaren, then that person would necessarily probably want to carry in their backroom staff. I know the Jamaica Football Federation, I think even Rudolph would have communicated this, that they always wants to ensure that the coach that is coaching Jamaica leaves something with Jamaica, or in terms of them having a local person on the coaching staff. And I think with Miguel Coy, that even gives them a more ease of reference in terms of adding to their backroom staff. But in my humble opinion, when I look at a guy like Shavar Thomas, right? Because as I said, if you're going to choose a Miguel Coy for the head coach, I think you want to reinforce his backroom staff with persons who you would have looked at to say, oh, play the game, or even coach at a certain level. When I look at a guy like Shavar Thomas, and I'm going to read something to you that would highlight some of the exploits in terms of Shavar Thomas playing and coaching. So he would have captained Jamaica's national teams at all levels, at the U17 level, at the U20 level, at the U23 level, and even the senior national team. He would have played at a U17 World Cup at I believe and he would have played at a U20 World Cup, right? And he would have captained. No, I'm so sorry. He would have played at the U20 World Cup, which was 2001, that was held in Argentina. And he would have captained Jamaica at all of the levels, U17, U20, U23, and also senior level. He would have played overseas as well. He would have coached, he would have been assistant football coach at in high schools in Jamaica, that's at Jago, head coach at Excelsior, assistant coach at Woolmers. So he would have been coaching at that age group, would have been captain in terms of his leadership qualities. And then when you look at the fact that what he did with Portmore United, it blew away the teams in the league, I think in his first season, and went on to win that trophy. And he went on to lead them to back-to-back titles, right? Back-to-back Jamaica Premier League titles, and also won the Caribbean Club Championship, if I'm not mistaken. So when I look at those things, I think a guy like Shavar Thomas, and from the last reading, I suggest that he had a CONCACAF B license, which he completed, and I think he's supposed to have a USSF B license as well. So I think even on the qualification front, he's getting there in terms of doing his badges, putting in his hours. And I think if you hire a guy like Miguel Coy, and you're going to supplement him with a Jamaican backroom staff, I think you could also look at a guy like Shavar Thomas to come in and be his first assistant, right? So you could pair him with a Shavar Thomas to be his first assistant, and then you have Miguel Coy as the head coach, and then you could fill out the staff. But guys, tell me what you think in the comment section. Please remember to like, share, subscribe for all content, and hit that notification bell so you can know when a new content is being dropped. I'm your OCC, and I'm out. Thank you guys.